Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. It's been a little bit, but here we are. Your premier destination for two dads talking about movies that their dads probably watched uh, in their free time away from their wife and family and kids, if you love that sort of content, here we are. I'm Dylan, and joining me as always is Ben.
Hey, welcome from post my wife and son being asleep time.
Hey, same. Uh, um, and we're back with a movie this week that is definitely a dad movie, Gladiator. We did a Snatch in the past, and I was like, oh, this is one of my dad's favorite movies. I feel like Gladiator is another one where my dad loved this movie when I was growing up, and we were way too young to see it, so we never really got to see it. Um, so I had never seen this film. Had you seen it, Ben?
I would not know. This was one of those ones that I feel like is always talked about as like the term of like, oh, it's a guy movie. This is
Ah,
like the
yeah, yeah.
quintessential guy movie. I'm like, I don't never saw it. I don't even know if I didn't even bring it up to my dad. I saw him today. Didn't talk to him about it. Probably should have. I wonder if he's seen it or if he has any like strong recollection of it. Um,
Oh, it'll be one of those ones where he listens to it and gives you
oh
notes
yeah.
later about,
Oh,
hey, I checked out the
100%.
podcast episode.
No, the funny thing is my dad will hear this. We're recording mid November. My dad will hear it maybe mid December or later. He just
That's
finished the Band of Brothers episodes, so that's
oh
where we're
nice.
at.
Okay.
So
Yeah, my dad does the same thing. He'll go work in the garage and then he'll come back and he'll be like, hey, I was
I have
doing this thing in
notes.
the garage. I listened
I
to your
have,
podcast episode.
I have notes for this thing you recorded 2 months ago. You really got this wrong. Okay, let me make sure I make a retraction in the next episode.
Yeah, let me just go re-edit that real quick.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get on the horn.
Uh, so before we get started, Ben, I did want to ask your opinion real quick on something. I watched the first episode of The Caped Crusader on Amazon Prime, and I know you're the resident Batman guy. I was wondering your thoughts on the series, if you've seen it at all, or you've watched it, and
I
what
have.
were
I
you thinking about?
think. In all honesty, I think I need to finish the last like two episodes. I think it's like a
Mm.
two-parter, and I just one of those things where again, you wife and kids, and
Yeah.
you just kind of lose track of things that you want to finish and watch. Penguin is also on my watch list. I was kind of waiting till it was
Oh yeah.
all out to just binge through it. Um,
Same.
I really loved Cape Crusader. Uh,
Hmm.
Big fan. Um, I've got the Golden Age books there behind me on the wall there, and obviously, on the shelf above that is all my Batman animated series stuff. So anything that resembled that, I was like, "Yep, I'm in. I'm good." Uh, I trying to think where to go with it because I have a lot of things I really enjoyed about it. One, just the noir pulpy aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um, Huge fan of that. It felt like a book from the 40s that you would pick up. Uh, I am one who does not mind the character diversity that's kind of been included recently,
Yeah.
making the Gordons black, making Renee a
Penguin was a
prominent
woman.
character. Penguin is a woman. If it doesn't really, as long as you are not, you know, you're not taking Commissioner Gordon and making him like some corrupt
Yeah.
cop on the
You're not
take.
tainting the
You're not
character.
tainting the legacy of the character by what color you make him. I
Yeah.
don't think that affects what the issue is.
It's it took me aback for a second. I was like, wait, they're calling it mother, and I was like, oh, the penguin. Oh, it's a woman. Wow. Okay. I was like, all right. I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
like it doesn't really matter. You know, I don't know the people who get obsessed about that stuff. Like you made this character, I made the fictional character different. Whoa.
This character has been white for 70 years. Yeah, because when he was created, no one was making black superheroes. Cool. Cool. Congrats. Yes, this character who was created by two Jewish teenagers in 1940, who probably barely knew any black people, let alone enough to write a comic book about them, didn't make them black to begin with. No. I'm all for it. I have no issue with it. Like I said, as long as the character representation is good,
Yeah.
I'm all for, obviously, do I think there is a caveat to what you can do in that regard? Yes, unfortunately. Um, but I think for the most part, I have no issues with the diversity in that was changed. I agree with you. I think when people get kind of like super upset about it, like, man, it's a cartoon. Cartoon, man. Let it go. Let it go. But overall, yeah, I've loved it. Like I said, I think I've got the last like 2 episodes I need to go back through and finish. But um,
Yeah, I really loved the noir uh, stylized, and it does remind me of like Batman animated series or like what is the not quite like Batman Beyond, but similar like
it's the
vibes. I
same.
feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. I would say overall, I feel like the very similar art direction. Just I think leaning a bit more, whereas the animated series leaned very heavily into like the art deco aspect of it.
Mm.
This leaned very heavily into the pulp aspect of it. I don't want to spoil anything, but the Clayface episode, Chef's Kiss, I loved it.
Oh,
Uh,
oh,
very much
okay.
felt like it felt, yeah, very akin to what I've always kind of wanted to see from a Basil Carlo style actor Clayface. Very good.
To kick things off and get everybody in the right mood, we're gonna go to this week's cocktail, um, the Gladiator cocktail. You know,
Whoa. Oh shit.
uh,
We didn't talk about it beforehand, but that's what I assumed it was going to be.
I it's mind blowing, really. I mean, if you've listened to the podcast in the past, like would you have ever guessed? I know. So this week's cocktail comes from Dinners Done Quick, and Katie Vine is the author of this cocktail. You can hit the link in the show notes below and get the drink recipe. But she was inspired by the film, and film set in ancient Rome. She wanted to create a cocktail that is inspired by flavors you may find in ancient Rome. And so, for this recipe, she used 2 ounces of honey flavored whiskey, 1 tablespoon of fig preserves, and 3 ounces of pomegranate juice. Uh, and you want to, I mean, you can check the show notes, but you want to heat those fig preserves a little bit to make them more of a liquid state. And then you're going to shake that with the pomegranate and the whiskey. And then you'll chill it when you shake it. And yeah, you're going to have a nice little sippable tart drink, a little fruity. Uh, yeah, you know, I
Wow.
don't know.
We found
I
we found very different recipes.
oh
I found a completely different gladiator cocktail. That was
oh
very
did
much
you
very
did
much like
you
a
look up a
summery
cocktail and
drink.
make it?
No.
Did you make that gladiator cocktail, or is that what you're drinking
I've
right
had
now?
something no, I've had something very
Oh,
similar.
okay.
Um so it's amaretto, bourbon, each
Okay.
flavored bourbon, orange
Okay.
juice, and like Sprite.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say also kind of Italian until you got to the orange juice and Sprite. I
Yeah,
don't know
that
if those
threw
are
me
very
off too. I
Italian
don't know.
ingredients,
I
but
don't know where that came into, but I read this. I've seen this multiple ways. This one like a mix, which I've had. I mean, I've had pretty much this exact drink. Uh,
yeah,
so it's a good summertime cocktail. But I also saw another one where they do it as a shooter.
with those same ingredients.
So they take the amaretto and the bourbon, shake it up, shake it over ice, pour that into a shot glass, and then you drop the shot glass into your orange juice and Sprite mix, and then down it.
Interesting.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Interesting is one way to put it. I thought that's fucking intense is another way.
I don't know if I would chug orange juice and Sprite. Just like a Jaeger bomb. Like that's
Yeah, that's. I was
not
like,
really things I
what
would like
sick?
chug.
What sick son of a bitch thought of this? What is wrong with you?
Well, one thing we did talk about before.
This is some Commodus
was,
shit right there. That's what that is.
One thing we did talk about before was that I'm a little under the weather, so I'm drinking some throat tamer tea from Sleepy Time instead of alcohol. But
I'll be honest.
if you want to,
I'm drinking water.
hey, I got that on deck too. Some sparkly water, some throat tamer tea. You know,
Throat goat tea.
you gotta tame the throat goat somehow. If either Gladiator sounds interesting to you, I'll put both recipes in the show notes below because I'm a generous man. You know, I'll put both of those recipes down there. Maybe you're inspired by the ancient Roman fig and pomegranate. You're feeling a little more fancy, or you're feeling like a fucking vicious frat boy and you want to chug.
I was gonna
orange
say,
juice
or
and
maybe
Sprite.
you feel like the Gladiator is the name of your college mascot.
USC? I mean, they're Trojans, but
I would just do it where you mix it like, you just add all the ingredients into a glass, you give it a nice little stir, and then drink it that way.
Yeah.
That sounds relatively refreshing.
Sounds more sippy.
Yeah. Shooting it, you're a madman.
Yeah. So check out the show notes below. Hit up the Casker links, and you could get some honey whiskey. You can get some amaretto. You can get some bourbon delivered directly to your door. We get a little kickback of that. And if you're interested, part of the reason why we did Gladiator this week, one, we hadn't seen it, but this Friday, Gladiator 2 hits theaters. So you can go check out that movie in theaters. I'm kind of excited after watching the first one. I definitely want to see it now. I feel like before, having not seen it, I was kind of like, nah, I don't really know. But now having seen it, I'm like, okay, I can buy the hype.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense now. To be like, I was like, I don't like, yeah, I've heard about Gladiator and that, but I'm like, are people really this excited for this sequel? Like, I don't understand it. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I get it. That checks out.
Yeah, and if you want, you can watch Gladiator, the first movie, to catch up, or just to, follow along with the podcast over on Paramount Plus as of recording, because we're gonna spoil it. Gladiator is a 2000s action epic period piece, directed by Ridley Scott, written by David Franzoni, John Logan, and William Nicholson. Stars Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Connie Nielsen, Oliver Reed, Richard Harris, Derek Jacobi, Jamon Hansu, David Schofield. That's about Spencer Treat Clark. Have I seen him in anything else? I think he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for 8 episodes. He's Lucius, the little kid.
Okay.
But Gladiator currently sits at an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb. It's the story of a former Roman general sets out to exact revenge against the corrupt emperor who murdered his family and sent him into slavery. It's currently rated as the number 35 movie on the IMDb Top 250, and it is not ranked. It's not ranked on Letterboxd. It won 5 Oscars. Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Russell Crowe. Best Actor in a Supporting Role was nominated for Joaquin Phoenix. Nominated for Best Director, Best Writing, screenplay written directly for the screen. Nominated for cinematography, won costume design. Nominated for film editing. Nominated for score. Winner for best sound. Winner for best visual effects. And nominated for best art direction, set direction. Didn't realize it was Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, I just saw that too, and I kind of took me aback. Like, wait, what? Huh?
It's not amazing, I will say, as some Hans Zimmer scores are, and honestly, kind of remind me of Pirates of the Caribbean. I feel like at parts, like I kind of get. I heard some of it,
I
and I
can
was
see
like,
that. Yeah.
I want to look up real quick and see if did he do Pirates of the Caribbean?
No.
He
He
did.
did?
Yeah,
I didn't think that was him.
that's. It says music editor, music programmer, and score producer. Let me see. This says it's Klaus Bedelt was the composer. Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting. Uh, so Klaus Bedelt he composed Pirates of the Caribbean, and was in the music department. Uh, additional music in Gladiator, and Hans Zimmer composed Gladiator and was in the music department on Pirates of the Caribbean for doing other stuff. So like
Gotcha.
they seems like they've worked together in the past or have worked on similar projects in the past. So maybe that's where some of this Pirates of the Caribbean stuff came from. Maybe that one song that I was like, hey, this kind of seems like Pirates. Maybe that was that guy. They're like, I really like this. Could you do a whole movie that sounds just like this? So, Ben, I know we both said that neither of us had seen this film before, but I guess one of my questions was, what did you know about this movie going in? Because for me, I feel like this is one that kind of like permeated pop culture.
I knew obviously that he was a gladiator.
What?
I knew the
Spoilers, Ben.
infamous "Are you not entertained?"
Which is so early into the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was
Like,
much. I thought it would be much later. And I
yeah,
knew the whole like thumbs down. I'd seen that before, and
yeah,
I knew Joaquin Phoenix played like, uh, for lack of a better word, a little like prick of a prince, or I guess emperor. Um, but that was kind of it. I did not know much about, like, when this movie started and it was like he was a general in the army, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what? I thought he was a gladiator. What is this? Am I watching the right
yeah.
movie?
Well, it kind of made sense though, because I was like, there's no way this movie is gonna be 2.5 hours long and he's just gonna be a gladiator the whole time, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, they can't make these fights that interesting or that long. And then turns out he's a general for Dumbledore, and I was like, oh shit, what? Uh,
Oh
uh,
God.
man, yeah, going in, I knew once again what you said. Like I knew the "Are you not entertained?" Um, and then oh god, the like, my name is Maximus Meridius Meridius, or whatever the fuck his name is. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I shall get my revenge in this life or the next one. Like that, I knew that quote. Um, and then yeah, like you said, the thumbs up, thumbs down. Um, one thing I didn't know was from this movie. Do you know MF Doom? The rapper, he wears like a
Yeah.
mask, and when Maximus comes out for the first time in that like mask, I was like, wait a second, is that the MF Doom mask? And then it turns out that like he switched his mask. He used to be like, it used to be Doctor Doom's mask when he started, and then after Gladiator came out, he like altered the mask that he
Tweaked it.
wears to be similar to the Gladiator one. I was like, okay,
Mm.
that makes more sense.
I see. Yes, hip hop culture.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, Ben. I reference these things and then you don't know them. So
I know a bit. That one, nope,
you know,
missed that one.
it's okay. It's okay. I could send you a picture of him. You'd be like, oh yeah, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Like I know. I thought there was gonna be some sort of like I remember hearing a song one. I can't remember the name of it or anything like that, but it was like some rap song that like sampled like some sort of quote or something from them. I could swear it was like they sampled something from this movie, but I
Oh, I'm
couldn't
sure.
tell you what it was or.
This feels like what was the fuck? Was it Scarface? Was that the one where Zach had a trivia question and was like, "How many songs has this been sampled in?" Or no, was it Usual Suspects? It was one of those like like guy movies where it was like,
Yeah,
"How many hip hop songs has this been sampled in?" And you were just like, "Oh gosh, that's a lot."
I think it might be Scarface. It might be the "Say Hello to My Little Friend" thing that pops
Yeah.
up.
Um. But yeah, so like it was it's kind of nice when you go into a movie not knowing much if anything about it. It's kind of like, we when we talked about Band of Brothers, like just going in blind. um like obviously you're kind of waiting, especially like these bigger movies that have like you've just never seen. Like you're kind of sitting and waiting for that thing to happen. The Are You Not Entertained, like we talked about a second ago, I was like, it's not even like in the Coliseum. It's just at like this little side, little like hole in the ground Coliseum thing. You're like, oh man,
Yeah,
I thought that was much bigger part of the movie than it
yeah. I didn't
was.
realize this. I didn't realize this quote was going to come from AAA Ball. I thought this was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be in the majors.
um, yeah, I was like, huh, that's kind of weird, but I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised. I will say. I I'll say real quick, the one thing I didn't like is that I feel like I didn't need this whole romantic side plot with Lucilla, where it's like, well, I mean, it's not like a huge romantic side plot, but like they do share a kiss and all this, and like it's like this dude's here to like get revenge for his murdered wife and son. Like I don't need to know that him and Lucilla had a thing in the past, and like, oh, you like, oh, did like, I don't know. I don't need it. I don't need to know that this guy fucks.
Still not as creepy as the uh,
I mean, oh, I
Lucilla
don't. Well,
Commodus thing. Didn't need that at all.
I'm from Alabama, and he made Alabama look okay. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, kept happening, and all I kept hearing was ding 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 ding. Uh.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable to say the least, because he's also like very weird about it, little pushy, little like the part where she's like he comes to like see her and she's like sitting on her bed or whatever, and then he's like, oh, you're the only one who understands me or some shit, and he like lays his head on her, and then they like lay back, and he like tries to like go in to kiss her, and then he just like falls asleep in the bed face down after she moves. I was like, ugh.
Well, even like at the end when he's got her like tied up, and
Oh yeah,
he goes to kiss her, and like she turns her head, and he's just like, what does he say?
I know at the one point he says
Am I
like, you're
not?
gonna love me like I've
Am
loved
I
you
not
or something.
merciful? Am I not merciful? It's like, no, dude, you're fucking creepy. That's what you are.
I mean, he does a great job of being a fucking psychopathic like twerp. Is I guess a kind way of
Yeah,
saying it. I don't
no,
know.
he really made me hate him.
Yeah,
He
no,
did a
I
very
mean
good job of being a
that's the
hateable
point of the
character.
character, But like Commodus is like the fucking worst. The whole movie.
Start to finish,
And
no redeeming quality.
and it's the way he like he just like talks like he's kind of like proper and like daddy's money kind of. I feel like, it's really annoying.
If this movie took
Just
place today, that dude is definitely wearing like a salmon colored long sleeve button down and
boat shoes.
pastel blue shorts that definitely go like halfway up his thigh, and he definitely crosses traffic at the most inconvenient time for cars.
Um
Oh, let
yeah.
me add,
I mean,
also definitely wears a backwards hat.
ooh. um yeah, he's just the worst. And you're just waiting for him to get his just desserts the whole time. You're like, fuck this guy. Um, yeah, like especially, I feel like you could kind of tell at a certain point, like when things are gonna happen. Like, like when he goes in to see his dad, and you're just like, nope, nope. Not after Marcus Aurelius just told Maximus that he wants the Republic to come back. Like that's it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say I feel like there was I don't know if it's that reference to this movie or what, but I will say my one downside I think to this movie is that it did feel very much like watching it for the first time. It's still kind of like there was no twist that was just like, yeah, okay, this is gonna you everything was just like, yeah, okay, that's gonna happen. Yeah, okay, this makes
the
sense.
I think the biggest twist to me is at the end when he's like, "I'm gonna fight you," and he's like, "Are you not afraid? Or you think I'm afraid, or whatever?" And then he like stabs him, and I was like,
Stabs
"Oh,
him.
you little fucking
Yeah.
bitch!
I think
You
that was about
fucking
the
bitch!"
only thing that I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. Most of the other stuff was all like, yeah, okay. None of this
Yeah.
is really like there was nothing that really felt like it you couldn't see it coming from a mile away.
Oh yeah. What? As soon as he started heading towards his family, I was like, They're fucking
Yep,
torched,
gone.
dead.
Which
Nope, you're not making it in time."
just brings up the other worst the moment I think made me hate Joaquin Phoenix the most. Literally,
Oh, when
he
he
did
talks
such a
about
good
it.
job. He made me like not even beyond the characters. Just like I fucking hate this guy. That's how good he is. And I legitimately, I don't want to watch anything with Joaquin Phoenix in it for a couple weeks because I will just be like, no, I'm disgusted by you. But yeah, when he's like, your son
Damn it! I
squealed
really wanted to watch Joker Falado.
you and
Quentin
get back,
Tarantino. I think he
get
liked
back,
it.
get back to me on it. I'll have to find someone else. I don't think there's many. Um, yeah, when he was like, your son squealed like a girl, and your wife moaned, and I was like, oh, come on, no,
Yeah, what the
kill
fuck?
him, kill him now, kill him now.
I mean, it was
I swear to God, Maximus, if you don't, I will.
it was good the way they like it kind of still played it like a little political, where it was like, oh well, I can't kill him now because I'm not gonna make him a martyr, so we just have to sit and wait and let them try and take pieces out of us. And I was like, damn, I feel like I would expect more from Commodus. I thought he was just gonna go in and try and kill him at the beginning, like
Not even that, but
which I
also
mean,
just like Maximus was a farmer originally from Spain
yeah.
who went from farmer to general. The dude was like the smartest political mind in the entire freaking movie. Ha, come on. Where's the realism?
I mean,
I mean,
I will say,
even his ideas and plans were like, you have to get me out of here. I'll come back with an army and then we can overthrow. It was like he's just like, I can't kill him now. I have to leave and get more people and then come back where we can control everything,
Yeah,
and
like
then we'll
people,
do it.
my men need to know I'm alive, basically. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, on the other side of believability, I feel like is where uh oh god, what did I write? Like, so you're telling me this guy, he's the general of this army. His family gets murdered, and he just goes to his house and is like kind of sleepy because he got stabbed, so he's like fainting, and then just someone randomly shows up, picks him up, and like puts him into slavery. Like that part is a little crazy. I'm like maybe I give him a little bit of a break. Like maybe the smoke like drew the guys in, but like I was just like, what? Like how did this lead to this?
Yeah.
Like,
How did we get here?
yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. Like I feel like ancient times were crazy, so maybe that is like you just fell asleep one day and somebody walked into your house and took you. I mean, that's kind of what is it Juba? It's kind of like he's like, yeah, like my family might not even like they might never see me again. They're still going to the watering hole, and my wife's
Yeah.
trying to make dinner, and I just didn't come home. Which
Yeah.
shout out to him, man. He survived. He made it through the whole movie.
He did. Uh, Speaking of other unrealistic things, Maximus getting mauled by a tiger and just being completely okay.
Well, I don't know how much the tiger actually
That
mauled
tiger
him,
was
but
straight up like on the one tiger
on
was
his
straight up like over his shoulder, like right here. Come
yeah,
on, come on.
yeah. Ben, it's a movie, Ben. It was a CGI
I
tiger,
know.
anyways. Didn't actually get him, you know. So it's
Mm. Hmm. Damn those
which
Romans and their computer tigers.
which like I enjoyed this movie, but it's definitely one of those movies where it's like a time capsule of its time, where like the I don't know, it's hard to explain until you like can sit and like watch a movie from like the late 90s, early 2000s, but like the spinning around like transition of him like in the arena, like the first arena after he wins the fight, and then just like the wide angle like time lapse when the storm rolled in, the like infrared day for night looking shots of like his home, uh the like when he like passes out and like the camera's moving, or he's moving with the camera, but then like the background's moving behind him, uh and then yeah, just some of the CGI. But I was just like, God, this feels like, which I mean, the DP came from like music videos and stuff, so it makes sense why it looks like like the fucking wide angle time lapse thing looks straight out of like a YouTube video or some shit from like the 90s, you know. It's like I'm not hating on it, but it's a time capsule of its time. Like you would never see that today.
Yeah.
Like if you
No,
watch, I'm
there's
trying to think.
definitely
Like I think it's The
movies.
Beach, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Like that's one where it's like you watch that today and you're like the Moby score and shit, and you're just like, yeah, this feels
I've
like
not
a
heard anyone mention
90s.
Moby in so long. There's definitely parts of this movie that, yeah, you can definitely, it does feel very of its time, weirdly enough. The other thing I wanted to shout out though about this movie just came back to me. So this movie it's what is it? 2 hours 50 minutes.
It is 2 hours and 35 minutes.
2:35. Okay. It doesn't feel that long when you watch it. It
No,
moves pretty quick throughout. Like I was watching it and I went to just, I was watching and wasn't really paying attention to like the time, and then I was like, I feel like we've been, you know, it's got to be, at least a half hour or something in. I looked and it was like an hour and something in, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, okay, this movie's moving."
Yeah,
At
it
no
is a
point does
quick
it really
movie.
feel like it drags on for how long of a movie it is.
No, and I think the first part, like leading up to the like first little gladiator bit, takes a while. Like I
Yeah,
think,
it's almost like the first hour of the movie.
yeah, like I mean, it's not slow, but like I was thinking, like there's not a ton happening right now. Like,
It's not a
and
lot
then you
of
get to
gladiating.
yeah. I was like, damn. I mean, I don't know. They did kind of set the tone early in this movie when it was like, um, the first 4 minutes into the movie, there's like a dude with his head lopped off riding a horse in, and you're like, holy
Yeah,
shit! Like,
yeah,
what?
we jumped right in. What about the? I loved like later in that battle, they just start lighting dudes on fire, and they're just fully
Oh,
shown dudes caught on fire running around, and I'm just like, oh, all right, we're in, we're here. This is
dude,
some
I was
Saving
like,
Private Ryan. We're right into the movie, and people are dropping.
no, the fucking the giant, fuck, it's like a catapult sort of, but it's like a giant bow. Like, a couple of dudes got fucking impaled with that. I was like, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
That fucking arrow is like thicker than my arm. And like, what the? That was gnarly. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, that wasn't. We talked about like we didn't really know he was a general and did all that. Like that was kind of a surprise when that happened. I was like, whoa, we're in like this like medieval battle. This is pretty sick, dude.
Yeah,
I guess it's not medieval. It's pre
no.
medieval.
Yeah, it's I don't know, is it BC?
Golden
No, I
golden
think
era.
technically it's after.
Medieval? No, I think it's just
No,
before
no, no, no.
medieval.
No, I'm saying BCE or ACE, but I think it's
It's
ACE.
af. Yeah, it's after.
Yeah, that's I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember if it was
I
before or
think.
after.
Right.
I'm looking at it. I think this right here says it was 180 CE.
Okay.
Yeah. Um I was going through and looking through some of the interesting trivia here. Oliver Reed, who played Proximo,
Yeah.
the slave owner, um, he died 3 weeks before filming ended on the movie. Uh, there was a clause in the movie's insurance that would have allowed them to reshoot. Uh, However, the cast and crew was exhausted, and Ridley Scott didn't want to cut Oliver Reed from the movie, so
Yeah.
they rewrote the script and used a body double in CGI to give Reed's character plausible resolution, which now makes sense because I remembered watching the scene where they kill him and being like, this doesn't look like him anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even like kind of the silhouette from the back, and I'm just like, this doesn't look like the same dude. And it wasn't. That makes sense.
I was literally just reading that as you as you were like starting that. I was like
Apparently,
oh, that's the thing.
also apparently Oliver Reed and well, I can't say Oliver Reed and Russell Crowe didn't like each other. Oliver Reed apparently just didn't like Russell Crowe, and apparently tried to
Oh.
fight him on set.
Oh shit. Okay.
Uh, yeah, it said Richard Harris and Russell Crowe became good friends. Oliver Reed took an instant dislike to Russell Crowe, and at one point challenged Russell Crowe to a fight. Man, I think if there's a dude who was making movies that you didn't want to fight, who had a reputation for being a guy you didn't want to fight, it was Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Isn't he the one that was like getting drunk and like fighting people or some shit?
Yeah, he's the one. South Park did a whole episode about
Yeah.
what is it? So, making movies, making something, and fighting around the world. It's like, oh my
Um.
god! But
What?
the guy was born
This
in.
says
He was like 60 years old. and he's trying to fight Russell Crowe.
This says that Hans Zimmer's score is one of the best-selling movie soundtracks of all time. I mean, maybe just because people don't really buy movie soundtracks, but like,
Yeah,
I
I
was I
could
was kind of
see.
unimpressed. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Hey,
I
Hans
like I
Zimmer makes
said.
some amazing scores.
Oh, I'm not gonna slam Hans Zimmer, but this just wasn't. I don't know. I will say I did also see on the IMDb trivia um, that key pieces of the battle sequence score were used for Pirates of the Caribbean 3. So yeah, you were
Exactly.
right. Way to go. Mel
Big,
Gibson was offered the lead role.
absolutely not.
So interestingly enough, it says that he turned it down. He felt he was too old to play Maximus. How much older do you think he was than Russell Crowe?
20, 20 years.
He was 43. Russell Crowe was 35.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. All right.
Isn't that kind of
Damn.
weird? You think about it and you're like, that doesn't make sense.
When did the first Mad Max movie come out?
Late 80s? Early 90s?
79.
Holy shit.
So, how old was Mel Gibson at that time?
I do think he was, I want to say he was only like 20 something.
Yeah. He'd be like 20, 23,
Yeah.
22, 21 when it filmed. So, all right. I it's hard when you like think of like I don't know some of these
Well,
actors because
I
a
mean,
lot of them do so much where you're like, oh yeah, they've been around forever, and then it's
what?
like,
Just think of,
oh,
you're thinking of the fact that like when you think of Russell Crowe's like career peak, right? You're thinking
mhm.
2000s.
Yeah,
You think Mel Gibson's career peak, you're like Lethal Weapon, 90s. Early 90s to late 90s. Late 90s kind of probably starting to trail off. Like, oh, wait, they're only 8 years different in age? That's nuts.
yeah. Russell Crowe was like 90, 97 to like, I mean, 2007 ish maybe. I mean, he had L.A. Confidential. Then he had The
And,
Insider,
I mean, but
Gladiator, A
LA
Beautiful Mind.
Confidential was like his first, both him and, wow,
Pierce Brosnan? No, Guy Pierce, the
Guy
other one.
Pierce. Pierce from like James Bond? No.
I mix those
Uh,
guys up all the time. It's the
but,
Pierce,
but I think that was like both of their like first movies.
like
They
American
were both,
movies.
yeah, they were both pretty much unknowns when they were cast. Um, if you'd like to know more, check out our episode on LA Confidential, where we go a little bit more in depth about it being their first mainstream movie in the U.S. But yeah, it is just weird that when I think about those two, I think of them kind of in completely different like eras, I guess. But
Oh man, have you seen The Nice Guys?
yes, that's the one he did with
Ryan Gosling.
my God, I think I need to go to bed. I'm, I am off my game. I'm normally much quicker
I'm
on the
just
take.
I don't know if I necessarily spoiled anything for myself, but I did. I had looked at like the Gladiator 2 cast as I was watching slash like wow like before. So then I was like, well, I know these people make it like because like Lucilla and Lucius are in the movie and Gracchus. So I was like, all right, well,
Who was?
Gracchus is the like
Oh,
senator.
Gracchus is the dude who wears like the blonde wig, makes the announcements.
No, 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 no.
Is that not him?
No, he's the senator that meets with Russell Crowe to
Huh.
the one that was like, "Oh, we
Okay.
can fix the
Yeah.
government."
Okay.
Um, very confused how this movie is gonna make any sense. The second one, because it's like Lucius is like fighting in the Colosseum. I'm pretty sure
Yes. I read a
because it's like him
quick.
fighting Pedro Pascal. So I'm like, how the fuck does that happen? Like,
So I read
how does
a
like
a real quick breakdown here. Um, it is Lucius. It's so basically it's Lucius is the main character.
yeah,
Lucius walks a path similar to General Maximus.
Max
Um,
Maximus
Maximus.
Maximus
Yeah, that's what I said.
Maximus. What is Is Maxis something? I feel like
I don't
I'm
know. I said Maximus.
no no you did say it. And what is Maxis? Am I losing my mind here?
I have no
A mass
idea.
communications thing. I don't know. All right.
So apparently there's Denzel Washington's character has assumed the throne,
Ah,
and then
okay.
um,
Oh, Maxis is a company that makes The Sims.
well, of course. So I'm assuming it's probably a thing where like the government's or something that they're overthrown, and so they're probably like same thing. He's probably exiled or something, and then comes back as a slave. And
I mean, the cast has me excited for it. I'm a little skeptical. I always feel like, some of these movies don't, like the sequels, especially this far after, don't necessarily live up. Um, I will say, I mean, Ridley Scott didn't direct it, but Blade Runner follow up was really good. Um, I mean, I love Denzel. I love Pedro Pascal. Paul Mescal. Haven't really seen too much with him. Uh, we got people coming back. We got Gracchus coming back. We got Lucilla. But Matt Lucas as the master of ceremonies has me a little hype. I love Matt Lucas. He's a goofball. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested. I kind of want to go see it in theaters because I feel like this is one that would be really good in theaters to see. Like this action, these battles on the big screen. I like this feels like a movie made for
yeah,
movie theaters.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think this is the type of movie that is like you kind of need to see it on a big screen or with people.
Yeah, because even if it's not like an amazing movie, it could still be a lot of fun to like
Oh
see with
yeah,
people.
it could still be hype to watch, but um, yeah, it's just a
I mean,
matter of
in the fucking movie poster, there's a dude riding a rhinoceros. So like, you know,
CGI. It's not real.
well, I mean, that's still kind of badass, Ben. I don't know, man.
Those damn Romans and
I
their CGI rhinos.
I feel like that this movie, I fucking loved the action sequences. I think the fights and the action sequences were done very well. I kind of, made a little comment about the cinematography being very 90s there. Here, I think it's extremely well done. Like, it's done super quick, it's fast. Uh, it stays in the moment when it needs to stay in the moment sometimes. Like,
I'm
the,
going to push back slightly
oh,
with the first battle that they're in,
yeah.
where it's Maximus and what's the guy's? Oh, Juba.
Mm-hmm.
They cut way too fast in that fight.
Yeah.
It seems like they fix it as like throughout the rest of it, but I literally was almost getting nauseous watch. It was just like you'd get a split second and then it was cutting. And then you'd get like you could barely like
Follow what's happening.
Yeah, my brain could not capture the input in time to recognize anything before there was another cut. And it just kept happening to the point where I was starting to feel nauseous from the quick cuts and my brain not being
Yeah.
able to like settle in. And it was getting to me. It was getting to, I'm like,
I
this I hope this is not the whole movie. And that was the only one that was like that. It seemed like after
yeah.
that they got so much better about not cutting immediately.
Well, I think it obviously they're doing it to like hide like some of the action, and it's like, I mean, maybe that one there wasn't that much to like do. It's kind of just like rough and tumbling kind of. And I don't know, maybe it's to like cuz like the one dude just had like a fucking half a pig on his head running around trying to fight people, and I was like, what the why? It's like
Why not?
I was like, I guess he looks scarier and more dangerous when he's just in a 1 second clip, but like probably in the actual fight, maybe he looks really fucking goofy because he is. um, but yeah, I think the fights were really cool, and it was funny, or just kind of you're kind of like, oh yeah, like the first battle where it's like, this is the Battle of Carthage, and this is your like barbarian horde or whatever, and then it's like, oh, but Maximus is actually the general of the Roman army, and so he literally like gets everybody to line up and get a diamond formation and tip over the
Yeah.
the uh,
If you want to
chariots and
survive,
stuff.
if you want to survive, listen to what I say. Okay. This dude seems like he knows what's up. I'm gonna listen to him.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, these guys are so lucky. this the Spaniard is a
Yeah.
general. Well, it's funny because like immediately after that battle, everyone is, well, it comes out that he's who he is, but like everyone's like, they just stopped calling him the Spaniard. Now he's general. I'm trying to
I
think.
also thought he would keep like the God, the anonymity
A little longer.
a little bit longer. Yeah, I thought it might take a bit longer before they find out that he's Maximus.
Yeah.
It didn't affect anything, but I was just kind of hoping he'd be anonymous a bit longer. I'm also really glad I was able to get anonymity out because I went to say it and then my brain's like, no, that's not right. You better tuck that back in. You better find a synonym real quick.
Um. Yeah, I agree. It was weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like because he was wearing the mask and all this, and then it was literally just like, oh, my name is Maximus. Here I am, getting my vengeance. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess it sets the domino effect for the political stuff, where it's like, oh, well, now he can't kill him because he's starting to win the crowd, and now the gladiators are cheering for him, and now like Commodus is kind of like trying to juggle all this stuff where he's like pissed off about him. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's why. I don't know. I did. It was funny because when you said like, oh, Maximus is like the best political mind, and he's just like this farmer dude. But it was just funny to me that like all this man wants to do is get home and like see his family and tend to his farm, and then literally he's like, the former emperor is like, I want you to lead Rome. Like, I want you to make it a republic again. And then he's like, I don't necessarily want to do that. I'll let me think about it. And then doesn't really have a choice. Then he's like thrown into this thing where then like Lucilla's like, oh, you have to defeat him, Max. It's like, oh man, all this dude wants to do, it's like John Wick, like all this man wants to do is like hang out with his dog. Like now he's got to be a fucking killer, gladiator, and fucking political power in Rome. All he wants to
Yeah.
do is tend to his crops, dude. Which is funny because Is it Gracchus? Like when he shows up at that one like gathering after the battle, and there's like the senators there, and they're like, "Oh, Maximus the farmer. I can't really see it." You're like, "Oh yeah."
I also loved Grax's response of just, "Oh, you're gonna come in here, take over with an army that no one can stop, and then you're just gonna hand it over and leave." Because that is the most thank you. Uh, that is the most sane thing anyone has said. Just to be like, so just let me get this clear. You're going to march in here, conduct a coup, and then you're just gonna hand it over. Yeah, okay, that's that. We believe that, bud.
Does it sound familiar, Ben?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about it. Russell Crowe started filming this directly after The Insider, and apparently, in the time between, he lost 40 pounds just supposedly working on a farm.
Wait, you said you said Pirates of the Caribbean 3? This Pirates of the Caribbean 1.
Was it one? I could have sworn I saw it
Yeah.
said three.
Nah, it's the
Oh
Curse of
no,
the Black Pearl. That's
it
the
was
first one.
2003.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense. Let's disregard me.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So apparently Russell Crowe gained 40 pounds for The Insider and lost it all before, in a few months before starting this movie. And he said he did nothing special besides normal work on his Australian farm. And from that, I garnered, I need to go find an Australian farm. Because I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's bullshit. The way that dude gained 40 pounds and lost it, just like, just doing normal shit.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of those dudes have like professional trainers. I feel like that's more of a newer thing. Yeah, but did you see this? It says, while looking at the dailies, Sir Ridley Scott noticed that Joaquin Phoenix was gaining weight. Scott spoke to the line producer about it, who then went to Phoenix and told him, Ridley says you're fat. The next day, Phoenix in full armor came to Scott and said, I hear I look like a little fat hamster. I thought it was the right thing to do. I'm the Emperor of Rome. Why would I not look a little more debauched? And then Phoenix didn't eat for weeks.
I read that one. He's just like, he told the line
What
producer.
the
The line
fuck?
producer just walked up and was like, Ridley says you're fat. Damn. Oh, that is rough. I also read where Jack Gleason, which, I mean, how old was Jack Gleason? Jack Gleason when he started playing Joffrey. Oh, I guess he's 2 years older than me, so I guess that kind of makes sense. In 2011, so he would have been almost 20. Okay, he said he based Joffrey on God, why can I not remember how to pronounce his name? Joaquin Phoenix's character, Commodus. Wow, man,
Wow.
I am
Uh,
I am off today.
there's some good trivia on here. It says that Oliver Reed told Ridley Scott that after 5 o'clock his life was his own. so, so he got off every day on 5 o'clock, which is pretty nice, pretty rare on film sets. Um, Also said that the movie started shooting without a locked screenplay in place. According to Russell Crowe, the initial draft was so bad that when he was approached for the lead role, not even the producer wanted to send him a copy, afraid that he wouldn't respond to it. Crowe was instead urged to meet with director Sir Ridley Scott first. Unbeknownst to the producer, Crowe had already obtained a copy of the script and disliked it, but was won over by Scott's take on the project as well as the countless rewrites.
Hmm. Okay, now this is an interesting. I went into the spoiler section, seeing as we've already watched the movie. Joaquin Phoenix ad-libbed the "Am I not merciful" line when he screamed it in Lucilla's face. So Connie
Okay.
Nielsen was genuinely frightened when that happened. What a what a good choice. Good choice, Joaquin. Good choice.
I mean, I, I'm I've never worked with any of these people. Some people have said, or I've read, they don't like working with Joaquin Phoenix. You know, I feel like
He seems
he's
like
one
he
of
would
those
be
like method
very
actors,
intense. Yes, he seems like he would be very method and very intense to work with.
which I feel like I have a love hate relationship with method acting. I feel like you get some really amazing performances, but it also seems like it's not fun to work with as far as
I feel
how
like
some of these dudes function.
sometimes actors use it as an excuse to be a total cock.
I
You ever
agree.
see the Man on the Moon like documentary they did with Jim Carrey
Yeah.
playing Andy Kaufman? He was
Yeah.
just a total douche for like 6 months, and it was like, oh, I was method acting. I was Andy Kaufman. No, you were just being a prick to everybody.
Yeah.
Andy
Which is
Kaufman
a
wasn't.
very good movie though.
It is. The movie's good. The documentary's very interesting. But just like eh, Jim Carrey was.
I have not seen the documentary. I've seen Man on the Moon. Sorry, I've
So
not seen the
Jim
documentary.
Carrey was very. He went like full. Everyone had to call him Andy on and off screen. He would do like characters that Kaufman had done. But I remember. Oh, who is it? Jerry Lawler, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Him and Andy Kaufman, that they did their thing like in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
So Jerry Lawler legitimately almost choked out Jim Carrey. He's like, I was legitimately ready to beat the fuck out of this guy. He's like, I don't know what this method bullshit was, but what Jim didn't realize is that Andy turned it off. Andy Kaufman and I were friends. We grabbed beer, we hung out. Like
Yeah.
Jim Carrey played the on-screen version of Kaufman, and he played that
Yeah.
all the time. But that's not you're not method
Who he
acting as
was.
someone. You're
Yeah.
just method acting the one portion of the character, and it's the biggest a-hole version.
Yeah.
Now, I I don't think you need to be someone 24/7 in order to portray them well on screen. I don't know. I'm not a professional actor, but I feel like if you're a
Yeah.
professional actor, you should be able to turn it off when you're done and not burden everyone with being a giant douchebag. Also looking at you, Jared Leto.
I mean, I
Oh,
have
I was
heard
super
some.
method as the Joker, so I sent everyone a bunch of really creepy and zany gag gifts like dead rodents. You're a douche. You're just a douche. Go make Morbius
I
2, you fucking tool.
I have heard. I watch I think it's Hollywood Reporter every year does like roundtables with like actors and writers and directors and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know some. Uh, I forget. I want to say it was maybe Kieran Culkin. Um, I want to say it was maybe him. I don't know. Like some of those guys have said, like I have family, I have kids. I don't do dark shit because at the end of the day, when I go home, I don't want to. I don't want that in my life. I do. I'll work on certain things, but like I don't like, and it's like it's consuming to be on a movie, especially if it's like a month long movie. You're on set and at work for at least like 12 hours a day. That's a lot of time to be in something that is like if you're a method actor who's in some like crazy perverse like messed up role, like why do you want to do that 24/7? It's already enough being 12 hours a day for 30 plus days. It's like take a break from it.
feel like Denzel had a good quote about method acting. Um, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I've heard other people talk about it where they've had comments on it and they've been interesting, but I can't find them. So yeah, we can move on. It'll come up again, I'm sure.
Well, I found this Collider article that says 12 actors who have spoken out against method acting. Sebastian Stan said it's a narcissistic kind of self-indulgent thing. Mads Mikkelsen said it's just pretentious. Will Poulter said an excuse for inappropriate behavior. Laurence Olivier said everyone has their own method. Huh. Charlize Theron said, I was just exhausted. David Harbour said, not only is that stuff silly, it's dangerous. Robert Pattinson said, they only use it when they're playing an a-hole. Spencer Tracy, I'm too talented to care. Samuel L. Jackson, when I go to work, I have fun.
That's my favorite. I'm too talented to care. I don't need to method
John
act.
Cassavetes said, more a form of psychotherapy than of acting. Martin Freeman said, no longer a craft and a job. And Tony Collette said, it's utter wankery.
Yeah, I loved Will Poulter's. Like it's usually just used as an excuse to be an asshole. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Whenever you typically I will say, like there are I know like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood was uh wow, and I'm blanking on his name. The character name. Uh
What?
and There Will Be Blood. What was Daniel
Daniel
Day-Lewis's?
Playview?
It was also Daniel. Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah.
Daniel, but that was kind of weird. But I think he was like very much in that character the whole time. But people said like, if they sat to have, he would be in character the whole time, but like he was not just a douche to everybody all the time. He was just, if you spoke to him, he spoke to you in the accent, in the mannerism, in the, you know, in the vein of the character for the time that they shot the movie. I That's one thing. It's the other people who, you know, feel the need that they have to use that like I feel like most of the
As
time
an
you hear it it's
excuse.
negative.
Yeah.
Most time you
I
hear about
mean,
someone
well,
method acting, it's they were being there was something negative they were doing.
uh, your boy Daniel Day Lewis apparently went too far in Gangs of New York. Um, said one of his most influential roles as Bill the Butcher. Uh, he says, apart from catching pneumonia by insisting on wearing only clothing authentic to the film's time period, Daniel Day Lewis infamously picked fights with strangers while in character. He also wore glass contact lenses and learned to touch his covered eye with a knife. Not surprisingly, the pressure of getting extremely attached to his characters is a huge part of why he took a hiatus from acting.
I mean, that also makes sense. If you're doing that, like I can see where that would just be utterly exhausting.
Shia LaBeouf in Fury, where he like didn't he cut
Didn't
himself and
shower.
like take out his own tooth or some shit or something.
Yeah.
And then Christian Bale in The Machinist is a really bad one where he was like fucking frail as can be. I don't know.
Now,
I
do you
get,
consider that
I get that.
method, or do you consider that just like his like body morphism that's just also super dangerous?
I, th- I think it's a part of both of it. I feel like you could just get somebody who is extremely skinny to play the part as well, but I think that is part of it. I kind of get like method acting in the sense of like, hey, I'm playing a role that I don't really understand. You know, let me go and learn how to do like this is talking about like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. Like, if you don't know about being an outdoorsman and all this, like that's fine. Like, go, you can go and do that and learn about the
No,
role.
there's
But then it's
research for a
like,
role. research for a role is one thing.
Yeah, it's like he actually apparently slept in an animal carcass and ate raw liver, and that's fucking weird.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked
And the
up.
dude's a vegan. The dude's a vegan, and he ate raw liver. So
Now, see, you had me there in the first half, and then you went and just fucked up.
like that's a bit extreme, you know. Like you said, researching for the role is good. That's fine. It's once you get to that point where you're like, let me just eat some animal liver and stuff. Like, nah, man, that's all right. You're crazy.
Yeah. Let me cut open this animal and just kind of sleep in there for the night. Really get the feel for it. Why?
I really loved Star
What
Wars.
what makes you think that you're going to do that shit on set? That it is not going to be faked? Have you never made a
Yeah.
movie before? I've never made a movie, and I know for a fact they're not making you sleep in a dead animal.
Well, let me tell you, Ben, they do make you sleep in dead. As someone who has worked on a movie, um, well, Ben and I had never seen this film, so that means there's once again two members to the Goob Squad. So you're gonna get two fresh reviews on Gladiator. Ben, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first. I feel like you're going to be more eloquent, and I feel like that should probably finish us off. I give this movie, man, I think I had it at like an 8. I think I'm gonna stick with it. And talked about it. I was still kind of trying to weigh where I was gonna put it at, but I think I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10. Um, I don't know that I view this movie as, and again, I'm viewing it in made in glasses 24 years after the movie came out. So understand that. I don't see it as, I guess, like the masterpiece that that I feel like sometimes it's referred to as. Um, I think it was very good. I very much enjoyed it. Again, for a 2 hour and 30-minute movie, at no point I was like, God, how much longer is this? Throughout the entire movie, most of the time, if I had to pause or stop the movie to do something, and I stopped it and saw the where I was at in the runtime, and I was like, we're already this far. It's been an hour and 40 minutes already. What the heck? It does feel like it flies pretty well. Um, some of the scenes with the jump cuts gets a little out of hand for me. Again, some of the predictability. There's not really a lot of like, you know, and I not that I think there needs to necessarily be a bunch of like twists and turns, but I guess like I said, either he keeps the anonymity a little bit longer, and then yeah, something that kind of keeps you a little bit more on your toes in the movie. I feel like would have been helpful. Uh, I think Russell Crowe was good in this movie. I'll be honest again. I don't know that it was Oscar worthy performance. Um, and I don't know. Maybe just this isn't my opinion of like an Oscar bait type movie. So I guess maybe it's for the better that it did well, that the Academy will recognize other, performances, but I just don't get the, like this is a perfect movie feeling that sometimes I feel like people who really like this movie make it seem like it's the perfect movie, and I didn't get it. That said, it was really good. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch. And I'm hoping that I get the chance to see the sequel at some point before it's uh 2048.
Well, Ben, um, Russell Crowe beat uh, Ed Harris for Pollock, Jeffrey Rush for Quills, Javier Bardem for Before Night Falls, and Tom Hanks for Castaway for Best Actor in a Leading Role.
God, I feel like that's kind of a weak kind of a weak year in general.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Well,
Hanks and Castaway. I guess that one would have I kind of made sense, but yeah, I don't.
um, and Benicio del Toro beat for Traffic beat Joaquin Phoenix for Gladiator.
Okay,
I have not
makes
seen
sense.
Traffic, but I do love me some Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, that's the one where he plays like a he's a detective or something. I think he finds out like his new boss is working like for the cartel or something.
I guess
I think that's
I
what
haven't seen
that
the
is.
movie. I just know it's about a drug war.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen it.
Uh,
I just know very limited. How I know that I could not tell you. Uh, Weirdly enough, for the guy who couldn't remember fucking Guy Pearce or Daniel Plainview or anything that made common fucking sense, I somehow remember details about a movie from 24 years ago that I've never seen.
um, well, Steven Soderbergh beat Steven Soderbergh for Best Director.
Uh,
he was he was nominated for Traffic and Aaron Brockovich. That's funny. He also beat Ridley Scott, Ang Lee, and Stephen Daldry. So, but oh man, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on the 8 out of 10. I wrote that down too. I was like, this is a good movie, um, and maybe part of that is just me sitting here thinking to myself, I have not seen a movie like an epic movie to this scale. I feel like I said this not too long ago for something we did, but Mad Max, I think it was. But like, we haven't had a movie to this epic of a scale in some time, I feel like. And like this degree, because I'm looking at the thing and it's like other epic movies, Batman, Dune, like Oppenheimer, The Dark Knight, like Lord of the Rings, and like those movies, yeah, they're epic movies, but I don't think they're to the scale of this movie where like Dune's in the fucking desert. Like sure there's like other like buildings and stuff, but a lot of that's all like made in the computer. I mean, there's stuff made in the computer here, but when you sit and you think about like the Colosseum set or like some of these palaces, it just feels grand. It feels amazing the way that they kind of recreated some of this old, um, like old ancient Rome buildings and everything. And like I said, this is one of those movies where I feel like we talked in the past that it's like a dad movie. It's a movie that your father really enjoyed and like that you hadn't had the chance to watch. I like this movie, though it kind of seems wild and far
oh
fetched,
man.
like going from the general to a slave and gladiator, and uh, but I could kind of give that a little leeway. The cinematography was really good. The action sequences are really good. Like, yes, it felt like a '90s, 2000s time capsule, but I lived through those times, so I do enjoy movies from that time. I enjoy everything. And yeah, I agree. An 8 out of 10. I think it's a great movie. I think if you haven't seen it, check it out and check out the sequel in theaters starting Friday. It's worth a watch. And yeah, enjoy it on Paramount Plus as of recording. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out next time. Share us with your friends and family. Leave a review wherever you listen. That always helps us out. Subscribe and check the show notes to make yourself either of the Gladiator cocktails. And as always, watch responsibly.